Joy.
Yes. Mr. Brenner, are we ready to get going? Sure.
Thanks.
Make sure you sign in too. Thank you. Or not. Mr.
All
Brenner,
right.
if you could just let me know when you're ready, I'll get started.
Yeah, it's 2:05. I think we're ready. I mean, some people might make their way in and make their way out, um, but the union's ready to go. Thank you.
Okay, great. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for being here. I'll get started. My name is Tim Kubrick, Director of Labor Relations. So I just want to welcome you. Thank you for being part of this process. We value each and every one of you on this call, on this team here, over here, not only for the input that you'll provide during negotiations, but also the work that you do every day to make our district a high-performing A-rated district. So getting started with bargaining, we're pleased to have recently settled on the salary increases for bus drivers. The bus driver shortages were a problem throughout Florida, throughout the nation. So we reacted to that situation, and are now providing the highest starting hourly rate across all districts in Florida. And across, for bus drivers now with the starting hourly rate of $20. So the negotiations that we get into today, that has already been settled, but we'll be addressing some of the other salary pieces going forward as well. I'll first like to start with introducing the bargaining teams. If everybody on the district bargaining team could introduce themselves, your name and your title, that'd be great. And then Mr. Brenner, if you want to introduce yours, that might be easier than online, everybody knowing when to chime in and introduce themselves.
Yep.
Heather Frederick, Chief Financial Officer.
Mitchell, Director in Human Resources.
Jean Marie Middleton, Office of General Counsel.
Erica Rieger, Chief of Human Resources.
Allison Momblo, Director of School Food Service.
Stacy Marshall, Director of Maintenance and Plant Operations.
Callie Davis, HR Partner.
Sean Bernard, General Counsel.
Joseph Sanchez, Chief Operating Officer.
And on the call, I've also got Jermaine English. She is the manager in my department, who was not part of the team during last negotiation, so we welcome her as well. Mr. Brenner, if you'd like to introduce your team.
Yes, thanks, Tim. Also, I wanted to thank everybody for being able to transition to a virtual process for this time. I personally wasn't able to be in Palm Beach County area today, but obviously did not want to cancel the meeting because it's a very important meeting. And we'll be talking obviously about some union proposals and hearing from the district. I do want to introduce my team. I know there are some people on who've got links that are not necessarily on the team. There are people that are witnessing, but I do want to kind of go through, and I'll kind of go through everybody as to give everybody, at least the heads up. I've got Alexander Lopez in maintenance. I've got Donna Barak, who's an ECP paraprofessional. I've got Garrett Knight in transportation. I've got Julia Reddick, who's also in transportation. I've got Lehman Fields in maintenance. I've got Rhonda Miller in transportation. I've got Robert Morin, who's in transportation. And I've got Miss Tamika Berry, who's out of the ECP para group. There are some other folks involved here, on this meeting, but necessarily, have not been essentially part of the bargaining committee, some of whom might be at some point, but I want to introduce my people as they are currently. In addition to today's session, I do want to kind of try as much as possible to have all of our bargaining sessions in person. I just think it's much more collaborative to have the ability to meet face to face. And again, I apologize, for not being able to be there in person. In addition to being a union negotiator, I'm a father, and I've got no ability to leave my school-age children home alone while my wife works till about 11 p.m. tonight, and situations happens. But I appreciate everybody being able to move their this bargaining session online. Tim, I know that, and obviously you recognized the the agreement that the district and the union did reach regarding transportation. And like you said, it does bring, I think you're 100% correct in that. It does bring Palm Beach bus drivers to the highest paid starting salary wage rate in Florida, which I think is, a tremendous accomplishment, and hopefully will alleviate some of those concerns in transportation now and in the foreseeable future. And I do look forward to a productive round of bargaining with the district's bargaining committee as we dive into the economic and other reopeners that we've got scheduled. So for my folks who are on the line, the union has a batch of proposals, each of which one is going to be a to be determined proposal. But Mr. Kubrick, they're consistent with what the district and the union decided to reopen up in this round. And we do appreciate the district meeting quicker than we normally meet during a reopener. Typically, we're meeting in the December, January times, but it's very good that we're able to get to the table a lot faster this round. So I guess first question I have is, the union's got a batch of proposals. Does the employer have any proposals to present today?
Yes, we do.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yes.
I wouldn't mind going first from the union's perspective, and obviously I could, get you I'll go through them and then send you an electronic copy, and then we can, take yours and you send us electronic copies, and we can have some discussion on it.
That's not a problem. So before you even do that, though, we agree. We're happy that we're meeting sooner than expected, definitely sooner than we did last year, getting back on our schedule that we should be on. And ideally, our goal would be to try to, wrap up these as quickly as possible so that come January, when the contract goes into effect, people are being paid the appropriate rate and all new contract changes are in effect. So.
Great.
So go ahead with your proposals.
Great. Okay, so do I have the capacity to share my screen? I hope I do. All right, let's see if this works. Oh, it says can't share screen. All right. So that leaves us, is there the capacity from anybody from the district side to change permissions to allow me to be co-host of some sort?
Let me see if I can actually do that. Hold on just a second.
Yep.
Thank you. Oh, perfect.
I
Says I'm
believe
done.
that I did.
You
Yeah?
made me a co-host, and I think that gives me the permission.
Awesome.
I'll try not to abuse it. All right. So let me share my screen real quick. Make sure.
No.
No. Okay. Try again.
There we go.
All right. All right, you guys should see a white page with some yellow. Yeah, I think you do. Perfect. All right. Everybody can see it. Okay, good. So, as referenced.
I'm sorry to I'll pause 1 second. If you could make it a little bit bigger, that'd be great.
Sure.
Maybe like 150.
150 works.
Yeah, that's better.
Pretty good. Okay. And obviously, I'll furnish you guys a copy of this. When we get a chance to caucus.
Yep.
So you'll see in front of you, as you remember when we had reached agreement on May 16th of earlier this year, we had discussions on obviously economics as a reopener item. But in addition, the union wanted the ability to bring proposals regarding Article 5 dues deductions, hazard pay, which is either Article 9 or Article 10, wherever you decide to put it. For the sake of this conversation, I've just put it in Article 9. And then in Article 14, transportation bus attendants. Now, a couple of these proposals you will see that are going to be substantially similar to other proposals we had previously brought. For example, the transportation bus attendants seniority language is almost verbatim from our proposal on March 8th of 2022 that we sought to include in the collective bargaining agreement. I do believe that in our conversations with the district, the overriding consensus was trying to make sure that the economics worked, and we kind of got sidetracked deep into the economics, and thus not allowing us to reach any kind of deep discussion on our transportation working conditions as it pertains to bus attendants. So I have a proposal on that today. I'll just go through it. Article 5, union rights and privileges, which is in Article 5, Section 6 of the regular and supervisory agreements, and then in Article 5, Section 3 of the ECP professionals agreement. You'll see struck through, underlined, and bolded and colored yellow. The union seeks to effectively change some of the language that we've had historically in the collective bargaining agreement for at least 20 to 25 years. I did reference this when we brought up this topic during the course of regular negotiations. That's just basically making sure that our contract reflects the language of the times and makes us consistent with what is allowable under Florida's public employee relations statutes. So I can, effectively it's a rewrite of those proposals. You won't see anything that deviates too deeply from it, other than in section B, there's a clause that the union seeks to draft out of the agreement. I say, from our perspective, rather non-controversial, but I do recognize from the employer's perspective, you're going to want to have your legal team review it, and thus we'll, keep talking about it. We got to give Gene Middleton something to do, right? Okay.
Can you scroll back up to that for a minute?
Yes, sir.
So ultimately, the change that you are requesting is that it's no longer a privilege, but it's an expectation on the district's part.
Correct.
And in the first part, what is it we're trying to accomplish here?
Effectively, we're just rewriting the sentence, which would read right now for an annual fee of $100, the district agrees to deduct membership dues, COPE, which is what you do now, payments and or other uniform assessments to SEIU, FPSU from the wages of, and we just struck it out, employees in the bargaining unit, rather than identifying them as non-instructional personnel who are members of SEIU, FPSU, et cetera. Just kind of shorten that language to make it much more concise and consistent.
Okay.
And then you'll see that clause, and I know this is the one that all employers across the state of Florida are going to be mindful of, is obviously the rights of the employee to withdraw their deductions is still met within the framework of the dues article in that middle sentence that says, quote, such authorization is revocable at the employee's request upon 30 days written notice to the district and union, which is consistent with Florida law.
Okay.
Okay. And obviously I'll forward this to you in a electronic format. All right, I'm going to move on to wages. I will note that, and I've kind of gone into the spiel of, the desire of the union to create some level of distance between employees who, by virtue of the new legislation that took place, that effectively caused a, tremendous amount of compression in many of our wage tiers, our pay grades. That we're seeking to allow for compensation to, rather than just go as an across the board for all of a base percentage, to instead recognize full years of service, thus would get an a corresponding wage increase upon reaching levels of service, right? And so the numbers we came up with, obviously, taking into account that many of those most directly affected by the new legislation that brought $15 an hour brought the wages up to $15 an hour, that we want to effectively create this system that allows for full years of service to be compensated on effectively January 1st, 2023 as the delineation, right? And so you'll see from 0 to 2 full years, it would be a 3%. From 2 to less than 4 full years would be 3.5%. 4 to less than 6 full years, 5%. 6 to less than 8 full years, 5.5%. 8 to less than 10 full years, 6%. 10 to less than 12 full years, 6.5%. 12 to less than 14 full years, 7%. 14 to less than 16 full years, 7.5%. 16 to less than 18 full years of 8%. And then 18 to less than 20 full years of 8.5%, and then 20 or more full years would just be treated as a block of a 10% across the board increase. Now, what we have yet to determine, because of the way that the contract does measure the minimums and maximums in each corresponding job category, is we have not created any language to adjust this other existing language, and we would need to, upon whatever agreement we do reach, if it's based off of this sort of framework, we would want to change that language accordingly. So I've effectively struck it out pending further discussion that we would need to have. I'd be happy to take any questions.
I don't think I have any questions at this time.
Okay. Okay. So then further on, we had some discussion a little bit around hazard pay, because I know the union had proffered some hazard pay proposals back last round of bargaining, but we're going to hold that for now. You'll see here Article 9, Section 12, hazard pay as to be determined. And then this is the proposal in Article 14, which I had referenced from, I believe, was presented almost verbatim from the language on March 8th of 2022, the union provided to the employer regarding midday and activity routes bidding for bus attendants, right? So effectively, and I think was the intent then and is the intent now, is to create the sanctity of route bidding and seniority for bus attendants, much of the way that that is currently enjoyed by bus drivers, 1 and 2, obviously. You will see that there is a strikeout of some of that language, which allows in section CDE, it's rewritten as BC and going forward. And this would take out the subjectivity of the rationale that the district currently holds to remove or void that attendance selection. And we're seeking to codify something very much similar to that of bus drivers for our bus attendant personnel.
Okay.
Want to go further? And that's effectively the union's proposal on these items today.
Okay. I don't think we have any questions on these right now. We'll work out, our team will get together and take a look at these, and then in our next session, let you know what our response to them.
Of course.
Okay.
Hopefully in person.
Yes. Well, it's already scheduled.
Yes.
So. All right. If you want to stop sharing your screen, you're going to send those to me, right?
I'll send them to you next time we get a moment to do so.
Okay.
All right, let me figure out how to stop share. All right.
Okay. So here are the district's proposals. Sorry?
Are you sharing?
Yeah, I am.
Okay.
So as mentioned, we have already settled on the increases for bus drivers, so this does not include that. But the proposal includes language that was covered with the salary increases for those drivers, but also the other employees in the bargaining group. The first one being the regular contract. And I have these check boxes at the top so you can see what one we're talking about. Since the language for salary is different, that's the reason for this one standing alone, to include the bus driver increases. Also included in this, though, so you can see here, really it's just dates there, then the intention to raise the hourly rate bus
Excuse me,
driver.
Joey.
Because you aren't sharing
Could
yet.
you get them to make that bigger? That's in a little bitty tiny personal window.
Yeah, I'm not seeing it shared. to be
I'm
honest.
sorry. If you could, if you pin the Chris Pickett one box, sorry, you can see the box that's the
Okay. Chris
proposal.
Pickert, yes.
Is there any way I can do it?
Gotcha.
Are you able to see it now?
I do see it. It's kind of small, but it's a little blurry. But
Let me see if I can.
and for everybody on Union side, go to the right. You'll see the name Chris Pickert, and then hit those three dots, and then click pin, and it'll show up as the main thing on your screen.
Jermaine, are you able to present?
I'll just jump back into
Yes. You may not be able to present because, let me make you a co-host.
All right, actually, hold on one second.
Okay.
Is that better?
Yeah, it's a lot clearer.
All right, good. All right, so as I was mentioning, these three boxes up top identify the bargaining agreement we're looking at the time. So this first one is, includes the bus driver language we recently agreed to here. And in addition to that, there's a recommendation here. The parties further agree that upon ratification of the board approval of this agreement, each bargaining unit member who is active as of the date it is approved will receive a one-time bonus of $1,500 or 3% of his or her base salary, whichever is greater, prior to any recurring salary increase. So it's a $1,500 or 3% bonus on top of the wage increases that we're proposing.
Okay, so I've had a chance to I see it now so much clearer. So the language proposed by the employer to the union for non-transportation employees, or bus driver ones and bus driver twos, who would have received the $2.75 increase earlier, would be for 3.5%.
Correct.
Effective 1/1/23, plus a one-time payment of either 3% of wages or with a minimum of 1,500.
3% of base salary before the increase, or so basically their current base salary, or $1,500, whichever is greater.
Okay, 3% of base salary before the scheduled 3.5% increase, or $1,500, whichever is greater. Okay.
Correct. In addition, so our comp team is working on revising the salary schedules, which will widen the gaps between the pay levels. They're also looking to add a pay level 17 to mitigate some of the compression that was caused by the state when the minimum wage was increased to $15 per hour. So as you mentioned earlier, we're fully aware of that too. When you move so many employees up to a minimum of 15, and there's no funding necessarily to make that same type of jump for the other employees, we're over time, that's something that we think we can address by widening some of these gaps. And the minimum and maximum pay rates for each of the pay levels will increase by 3.5% as well.
Okay, so mins and maxes would correspondingly all go up 3.5, same as.
Correct.
Same as the base wage. Okay.
Yes, and then in between each of the pay levels, by next session, we will have worked through a draft salary schedule that we could share with you to see, because sometimes there's hidden increases in there as well. So it sounds like you're getting 3.5, but when new mins and maxes are in play, and when you widen the gaps, just like we saw last round of bargaining, it was greater raises than what it looked like in the contract with 3.5%.
Gotcha. So 3.5% is effectively the intent if there's no adjustment, but there's obviously the district desire and the proposal will come to the union next time, is to create more distance from each pay grade than currently exists.
Correct.
Gotcha.
Solving compression right now in one time, it's just not possible. It's an incredible amount of money. But it is something that we're aware of, that the team is working towards addressing it, and it just takes some time.
Okay.
And
So-
we will have that for next session.
Can you tease it right now in terms of what you're looking for from the grades versus from now to what it will likely be as this sort of point from grades 6 to 7, 7 to 8, 8 to 9, etc.
I wish I could, but I can't. And I'm, obviously our comp team, Mr. Mitchell and his team are working on that now, and it's just not ready to release. So anything I said just wouldn't be worth the time. So
I was hoping to catch you.
But remember, this is next session. You hoping to catch me say something I shouldn't say, right?
I was hoping to catch you in something you couldn't say.
Don't
and
worry.
then
That's why I've got this bargaining team over here, and Mark looking at me right away saying, mm-mm. But no, next session, which is next week, we will have that for you. So,
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Yeah, and for those who weren't already aware, we're working on a in-person bargaining session for next week, Friday the 4th.
Correct. These are just other language changes, dates, about redlining and things like that. Nothing's really changed except dates. Getting into the supervisory and paraprofessional ECP contracts, it's really the same type of language where the 3.5% salary increase of 3.5% for everyone. Also included is the one-time bonus of $1,500 or 3% of their current base salary, whichever is greater. Same with these jobs fall into the same category, same salary schedule, so they too would be impacted by the new salary schedule changes that we'll be able to bring forward next time.
Gotcha, yeah.
Min-max pay rates are all increasing by 3.5%.
Gotcha. Yeah, that was my question. Recognizing that regular, supervisory, and the ECP para agreements all would have that corresponding increase. Okay.
Correct.
Okay.
These are just dates. Same. It's the secondary, pieces of Section 1 wages, A, B, and C. So it's just dates changing, and I'll share all these with you.
Great.
The next one is for supervisory for food service manager supplements, and here's the current language that we have, and where we're at we adjusted some of this language during the last round of bargaining, and in this time, school food service wishes to make some changes to the manager trainer $750 rotation pay supplement. With the way it is right now, if you only work maybe a day here or there or a week at a time, you're not getting this supplement, from what I'm understanding. But with this, we're, instead of looking at, I'm sorry, this is,
It's $30.
yeah, it's $30 per day, sorry.
No, we liked it before.
Yeah, right? It's, so here, instead, what we did basically is take, a typical manager training is 6 weeks. So that's 30 work days, divided by 750 brings you to $200 or $25 per day. So to be able to pay people for a day if they do the work, or a week at a time if they do it, or however long it might take, the wish is to change it rather than $750 for a complete rotation, but to $30 per day to simplify how we pay this extra work. Am I missing anything?
Question regarding that is, so that current practice now is a manager trainer rotation is 6 working weeks of 5 work days per week, and thus that would right now be $750 for that. But if the employer still provides 30 work days times $30 per day, we're looking at an increase from a $750 rotation to the capacity to earn up to $900.
Correct.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yes, and I would also just like to add that this gives the flexibility, because right now we don't have a rotation set as to what that means. So we've been doing a 6-week rotation, but right now if we said, well, now we're going to do an 8-week rotation, by rotation we could still only pay $750. And I wouldn't really believe that that's compensating accurately for the time that they're assisting us in the training. It also allows us to open it up to not just intern training, and because the intern training was where this started with, that's why we had rotations. But if we have those doing other mentoring for us or other training, we'd like to be able to compensate them as well on a daily basis for that.
Okay. How and you say, and was this because previous rotations were only of 6 weeks, but you decided to have a more comprehensive training program, or is it just kind of always been either a 6 or 8?
It's usually been a 6-week rotation.
Okay.
We have less trainers right now, so we've had to go back and adjust and say, well, instead of doing 3 6-week, we're actually doing 2 longer rotations. And
Okay.
then this brought up this concern that if we're going to 2 rotations, we don't want to just compensate for still the same length of time,
For more work, for a more longer period.
but yeah, longer period for each rotation. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. That's Article 10, Section 2 of the supervisory?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. And the next is just, we recently came to a tentative agreement on through coalition bargaining for our health, life, dental, and vision insurance benefits, which resulted in no premium increases. That's the 10th and 11th year that we've been able to do that. Something very unusual, across most organizations. So that would be part of the ratification process as well.
Not only unusual, and for my folks, and obviously for the district folks on the call here, it doesn't happen.
Right, and when it does, it's either at a cost to your increases, or they give you an increase, but then they turn around and raise your health, life, and dental premiums, and so suddenly that increase that looked really great doesn't look so great anymore. So
Exactly.
we're not looking to try to hide anything like that within this. This is no increases for the 10th and 11th year.
Yep. No, it's, again, I bargain across the state, all parts of the state, different sectors. This just doesn't happen. We're very appreciative of the process that we go through with the district's team and the rest of the unions on this.
Yep. All right, and so that is the last of the proposals that the district has.
Okay.
Any questions?
I do not. What I want to do is break off my folks into a caucus. Though I do recognize, most likely I'll also send you a copy of my proposal or our proposal before we do that. And if you could send me a copy of yours, want a caucus. And then I do want everyone to stay on just in case we need to come back and have any specific questions answered. And then I do expect that we'll probably adjourn after that to give each party the ability to come back and counter next week.
Yes. All right. So give me a minute, and I'll share the document with you. Okay.
Great.
And while he's working on that, I will set up the breakout room. Wish me luck.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Brenner, you also have a significant number of people in here in the boardroom.
Great.
So I'm not sure if there's a number that you'd like them to call or something like that, or.
Yeah, you can't. This is for the Google Meets experts. I don't think you can do this. You can't add a phone number component to a breakout room, can you?
Can they stay in here?
I
and we
don't
can
think that
log
you
out?
can.
But it won't be recorded, right?
I can stop the recording.
Okay. Then what we can do is the district team can step out, and we can leave you on in here. They'll stop recording.
The Google Meet is being recorded in Google Meet. I don't know if I can stop it.
Okay, that'd be fine.
Wait, yes, or can or can't?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, that's the one thing I don't control it. So I believe Caitlin. Yeah, she can stop recording it. Caitlin. Okay.
Caitlin doesn't record it. You guys.
Yeah, but the recording again.
Okay, great. Thank you, Jonathan. All right, I think everybody's back.
All right. All right, so I'm gonna have everybody mute yourselves if you're not intending to talk. We had some conversation on our end. We're not prepared to respond specifically to any of the district's proposals, but we do look forward to meeting next Friday. There was one comment that someone had made to me. I know we're scheduled for 10 a.m., but I know some of our transportation employees are not getting off their initial route until 9:45. So
Okay.
is the ability to push that back to say 10:30 as a start time on that? And I know I had asked for the early morning session because I have a later, commitment as well. But I think that would be sufficient for us in terms of getting getting the most of our people in the room at the time.
10:30 to, so you're saying 10:30 to 12 or 10:30 to 12:30?
10:30 to 12:30. We want to keep the 2 hours.
Okay.
I'm getting texts about it. Question, and also you had sort of teased the idea that the district in compensation is working on regarding both the creation of a level 17, which doesn't currently exist. In addition, having a proposal from the district side of what that minimum grade increase delineating between the grades would be. Do you think you'll have that ready by next Friday?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Okay. And then Friday. Any district response or clarification needed on the union's proposals on either Article 5 union dues, wages? Obviously, you didn't sound like you had any questions about. And then we still have we called the hazard pay idea in arrears. We're going to keep meeting on that. And then in addition to that, the Article 14 proposal we provided.
No, we don't have any questions right now. We're going to get back together as a team here to discuss prior to the upcoming meeting, but
Okay.
Nothing at this time.
Okay. And do you anticipate any other proposals? I know that, do you anticipate the district coming with any non-economic proposals on any of those other than the aforementioned counters to the union?
No, I don't believe so.
Okay.
As a result of some of the back and forth, now there might be something else that comes out of it, but as of right now, there's no other articles that we're wishing to open.
Great. All right. From my side, I don't have anything further in terms of process now. I do expect to be ready to meet with you and be able to respond to the district's proposal when we next meet, 10:30 a.m. on next Friday.
Yep.
And we'll be meeting in meantime on our end.
Sounds good to me. All right. So, well, thank you everybody for joining and being part of this today, and have a great rest of your evening, and we'll see you next week.
All right. All right, and I'll send out a calendar invite to everybody for Tuesday.
Thank you.
Thank you.